Well, new comic book day is almost here. You already know. It's time to take a look at the pull list so I can tell you what I'm getting. What's up, guys? BJ Kicks here. I buy comics, I read them, and I review them, all for your viewing pleasure. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. On this channel, I talk about comics, so if you love them like I do, consider subscribing. And this is the latest in the series I like to call What I'm Getting, where I take a look at the comics coming out this upcoming new comic book day. I tell you what's on my pull list, what's on the chopping block, and what's on the maybe list that I got to make a game day decision about. And this week we got a lot of books coming out this week. I try to stick to a budget of $50 or less, and so the fun is always in seeing will I stay under budget this week. But before I tell you which book I am most excited about, I got to give a huge shout out to our channel sponsor, Ultimate Comics. Now, Ultimate Comics has 4 locations in the Triangle area, in Raleigh, Durham, Cary, Chapel Hill. So whether you are like a deep diving fiend that loves finding gold in the back issue bins, or you're someone who's kind of a casual comic fan and you like Funko Pops and posters and pop culture related items, there is an Ultimate Comics location that will serve you. So check them out in Raleigh, Cary, Durham, or inside the Crabtree Valley Mall, and shop with them. Now, if you're not local to the area, no worries. You can always shop twice a week on the Ultimate Comics live show. The link's in the description below. Or you can shop at ultimatecomics.com to get their exclusive variants and ratios that you may have missed out on in weeks past. So once again, thanks to Ultimate Comics for sponsoring this video. Now, let me pull out the old iPad, and so I can pull up my pull list and tell you exactly what's on it this week. Yes, this week the book I am most excited for. This was a tough decision. There are at least 2 books that I were like, ooh. Now, anyway, let's get to it. This is Justice League: The Road to Dark Crisis #1. Now, Justice League, we've been building toward this Dark Crisis event, honestly, for quite some time. Ever since the end of the Death Metal event, there was an event called Infinite Frontier, a 5-issue miniseries called Infinite Frontier, penned by Joshua Williamson. The sequel to that was Justice League Incarnate. And then the events of that kind of spilled over into Justice League with issue 75, known as The Death of the Justice League. And so this issue is basically the fallout from that. Well, I stand corrected. We also had the Free Comic Book Day Road to Dark Crisis issue as well. So the long story short is the Death of the Justice League leads into Dark Crisis. This Dark Crisis event is very, very close. It's impending, right? We're almost at the event. So there are a lot of different parts of the DC universe that kind of have to come together. Now, in the aftermath of the Justice League dying, we're starting to see the sidekicks step up, and we're starting to see certain villains pop up as well. And so the event is kind of just taking shape. It's not too late to jump on. Go ahead, grab this Road to Dark Crisis #1, and you'll be pretty much prepped and ready to go, assuming you know the Justice League is dead, right? So grab that. It's got a cover price of $5.99. I'm getting cover A. And the next book on my DC Comics pull list is a collaboration between DC and Milestone. And it's a book I'm actually really, really excited for. This is Hardware Season 1, issue #6. This is the conclusion, the epic finale. If you've been following Hardware, and if you're following me, why not follow Hardware? Literally every week that it's come out, it got the top spot. It just got edged out by Dark Crisis because I really am interested in this event. But Hardware Season 1, Curtis Metcalf versus Edwin Alva. I can't really spoil it, but there are a lot of things that have been teased, and this issue is kind of the epic showdown between Hardware and Reprise, and then eventually, we assume, Hardware and Edwin Alva. This one's for all the marbles. Now, we're going to see if this sets up a Hardware Season 2, and I really hope so, because I already know we're getting Static Season 2. But anyway, let me not put the cart before the horse. We got to read this final issue and make sure it wraps up okay. This one's written by Brandon Thomas with art by Dennis Cowan and Bill Sienkiewicz. Gotta love it. It's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm getting cover A. And speaking of epic conclusions, This week, we are getting the Shadow War Omega. Now, I was just talking to you guys about Dark Crisis lead-in issues. Well, the events of this issue, the end of the Shadow War, is going to tie directly into the beginning of Dark Crisis. So if you're a DC Comics super fan, you probably should have been reading this Shadow War event between Deathstroke, Robin, and Batman. Now, if you have not, or you picked them up and you hadn't quite gotten to them, don't feel bad. Neither have I. I kind of miss when monthly comics were actually monthly comics and we weren't getting like weekly tie-ins with all these different series. And this is, I'm missing two parts of this. I'm still missing this is part 1 through 7 right here, plus the Shadow War Zone. It's a lot. It's a lot to keep up with sometimes, but that's the price of being a Wednesday warrior. But again, if you're behind, don't feel bad. I'm behind too. I've heard this is really good though, so I need to go. I got them all together so I can binge read them. But anyway, that's the Shadow War Omega. So this event is going to wrap up in the Omega issue. It is important to the Dark Crisis. So like I said, if you're a DC super fan, you want to know what's going on Batman's side of the Dark Crisis, you got to read this issue. It's got a cover price of $5.99. I'm getting cover A. Now, these next two books, I usually go in alphabetical order, and you can see when I read you these, they should have been done already. But the reason they're not is because they were on the maybe list. And just before I started filming, they kind of got solidified on the pull list. But let me go ahead and tell you why. So first up is Action Comics Annual, the 2022 Annual. Now, I was kind of annoyed with the fact that there's another annual coming out, considering I feel like we just got the 2021 Annual, like in November. As a matter of fact, Bendis's Justice League Annual got delayed and didn't even come out until 2022. So either I missed the annuals or they came out for 2021 and they're coming out for 2022 2 years later. 2 months later, it feels. But I don't know. I don't set the DC schedule. I just buy the books. But Action Comics Annual 2022, what is exciting about this one is that it's going to dive into the origin of Mongol. So if you've been reading this Action Comics run by Philip Kennedy Johnson, you've been reading this whole War World saga, the origin of Mongol is going to be interesting to you. I don't know. I'm just annoyed because it's another $6 book. But if I get it, and I think I'm going to get it because it's the origin of Mongol, I'm getting cover A. Now, the next book on the pull list is another Batman Annual. This is Batman Annual 2022. Now, I wasn't going to get this one either, but I just read that they are starting up a brand new Batman Incorporated series. Batman Incorporated run by the Ghostmaker, if I'm not mistaken. So this Batman Annual is actually written by the same creative team, who I would tell you if I remembered exactly who they were. Hold on, let me pull them up. All right, so this Batman Annual is written by Ed Brisson with art by John Timms. Now, I like John Timms' artwork. He was working on Action Comics when it first started under Philip Kennedy Johnson. So I think it'll be good. The artwork will be good at the very least. But I think the story will be pretty good as well. It's the teaser to the new series. It's got to be good. So because I'm curious about the Batman Inc. book, I'm going to grab the Batman Annual as well. And it's got a cover price of $5.99. Getting cover A. And that's it for the DC Comics pull list. If I just stick to the list, and if I get the annuals I said I was going to get, my list would be, or my total would be $28 for DC. It's a pretty typical DC week. I was excited about the potential of saving $12 on those annuals, but I think I'm going to end up getting them anyway. But if I didn't, I'd only spend $16. Can you see the appeal? But anyway, let's move on to Marvel before I get too mad about my totals. Now, first up from Marvel is the Black Panther issue number 6. Now, this is bringing to a close the first arc of John Ridley's Black Panther. I've been diving deep into Black Panther. There's a podcast series called The History of the Marvel Universe, Black Panther. Check that out on iTunes if you haven't already. But In it, you got a summary of every classic run of Black Panther that's been released so far, because Black Panther's only had like 4 volumes. So we got all of that, and then we got a bit of a preview of what's to come. And John Ridley's very excited about the story he's telling. So far, it's been Black Panther basically in the past made some decisions that are now catching up with him, and the secret came out the end of issue 5. So now at the end of in issue 6, we're going to see kind of the fallout from everyone learning this secret that T'Challa has been hiding. How is it going to make Wakanda feel about him? And that's an interesting question. So I'm excited about this series. It's been really good. It's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm getting cover A. And the next book on the Marvel pull list, this one is probably a maybe list contender. This is X-Men 92, The House of 92, or XCII, number 2. Now, this is the series where they decided to make the X-Men animated series, but they're telling the story of the Krakoa era, but with a couple of twists. I didn't read issue 1, and I was planning on not getting issue 2, but I really like this cover A, and it's a fairly light week, so it's like, all right, I'll spend the $4. It's got a cover price of $4. I'm getting cover A, or $3.99, excuse me. And those are actually the only 2 books on the Marvel pull list this week, so I didn't mind, having that extra one there. If I just stick to the list, my comics are going to cost me $8 on the Marvel side. Now, let's move on to the independent, the creator-owned, the smaller publishers, where, in fact, each of these books is an Image book, and they're technically the third arm of the big 3, if you really want to call them that. But anyway, first up on the list is Firepower, issue number 21. Firepower by Robert Kirkman, with art by Chris Samney. It's exciting. I read issue 19 and 20. I still got to go fill in some gaps, but it's really good. It's really good. I probably shouldn't have skipped so many issues, but I did. I was just trying to, figure out what I was going to read next. But anyway, Firepower, I can't even say what's going on because I'd be spoiling it, and that's not a good thing to do. If you're reading Firepower, you know what's up. It's got a cover price of $3.99. I'm getting cover A. And the next up is a book that I should have dropped a long time ago, but I couldn't because of this cover gimmick. This is The Scorched, issue number 6. The Scorched is the Team Spawn book. So you got She-Spawn and Gunslinger and Spawn and Medieval Spawn and the Plague and all these different Spawn. I almost call them symbiotes. They're not symbiotes, but they're spawns, hell spawns. And honestly, I read issue 1 and I thought it was okay, but not great. Then I read issue 2 and I thought it was okay, but not great. But issues 3, 4, 5, and 6 all have Jim Lee homage covers for the X-Men number 1. And I'm a sucker for a good Jim Lee homage cover. So this is the final cover to connect with all those other 3 issues. And I'm grabbing this. I'm going to tell Casey when I get there, hey, this is going to be my last issue of The Scorched. And that will leave on my pull list. I will now have just regular Spawn and Gunslinger Spawn. And that's good enough for me. But anyway, Scorched number 6 got a cover price of $2.99. I'm getting this cover B. It's by Todd McFarlane, and it's great. And the last book on the pull list this week is The Walking Dead Deluxe, issue number 40. Now, they've been staying pretty consistent with these Walking Dead Deluxe books. This series is basically just presenting The Walking Dead in a brand new format. They're coloring the issues for the first time. They've got these nice cardstock covers. They're packed with letters, pages, and reactions and all this fun stuff. And so, if you're a fan of The Walking Dead, like you're a super fan of The Walking Dead, I'd recommend getting this. If you've never read The Walking Dead, I'd recommend trying to find the other 39 back issues because they say The Walking Dead Deluxe will never be collected. And that's why I put the book on my pull list and I've had it for 40 issues because I figure, hey, I can do a custom bind of these later. And something tells me they're going to collect it, but maybe not. It's been 40 issues and they haven't collected anything so far. It's got a cover price of $3.99. The cover A by David Finch is the one I always grab. So if I just buy the books on the list, my indie books are going to cost me $11 this week. Again, not a bad week. So if I buy every book on the pull list this week. Then I'm looking at a grand total before taxes and my 10% subscriber discount of $47. If I don't buy the Batman annual and the Action Comics annual, then I'm only spending $35 this week. And that just feels like a responsible thing to do. But I'm probably buying those annuals. I say probably. They're in my box. I'm buying the annuals. My total's $47 this week. What books are on your pull list this week? That's what I want to know. Are you excited about the end of the Shadow War? Are you excited about the start of the Dark Crisis? Do you buy way too many books? Maybe if you do, then you're like me. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, I buy too many books sometimes, a lot of the time. In fact, I buy so many books that it's time to clean house. I am purging my collection of some duplicates, as well as some books that are actually really cool, but I'm never going to look at because they've been sitting in short boxes forever. And I want to give them to somebody that's going to enjoy them even more. And I'm going to do all of this so I can raise some money for my first Comic-Con trip. So if you want a chance to get some of the stuff from my collection that I just don't need anymore, stuff like the Annihilation Conquest Omnibus, or a full run of Donny Cates' Venom in oversized hardcover format, or Miss Marvel Volume 1 and 2. These are just things that I'm looking at on the collected edition shelf that's got to go. I got a whole box of single issues that's got to go. I got a box of single issues that are specifically to be given away to people that buy. Join me on Whatnot this coming up Sunday, June 5th. I'm going to go live, I think at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. June 5th at 6 p.m. I'm going live on Whatnot. Follow me at BJ Kicks. It's on the screen now. I just did that thingy. But follow me on Whatnot, and we're going to have some fun. Everybody that buys is going to get a fun little giveaway prize. And hopefully you go home with something that you really, really enjoy. Every auction is going to start at $1. We're going to do it for about a minute or until they end, in case you guys get all contentious, trying to snipe things from each other. But anyway, I'm going live on Whatnot this coming up Sunday, June 5th. Hope to see you there. You'll have a chance at some really awesome stuff. I'm putting together some sets out of things that I've bought for the last 3 years. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of items that'll be up for grabs. There'll be at least 50 lots, if not more. So definitely come join me there. Again, June 5th at 6 p.m. And you can have some great stuff. And don't worry, I've been saving all the packaging. It's going to arrive in great condition. But that's Whatnot. Use the code or the link in the description below. If you haven't signed up for a Whatnot account, they'll give you a $10 account credit just for joining. And I'll see you next week. Until then, hope you saw something you liked in this video. And if not, hey, that's cool. You can always buy what you like. Just make sure you read what you buy. And be nice to others, because kindness makes the world go round. Peace.